Hare Krishna, welcome to all for our weekly Bhakti Vaibhav classes, third canto, chapter 23, Devavuti's Lamentation. And in the last class, we discussed that after performing austerities for sufficient amount of time, both wife and husband together after their marriage, Devahuti and Kardama, having perfected his life, having achieved the expected goals, in the sense having achieved the complete understanding of the Supreme Lord, etc. Kardama Muni says that, my dear wife, I am very much satisfied with your service, surrender and negligence of your own interests and desires. So please tell me what you want. I can give you anything. I can actually show all the spiritual results as a wife that you have accumulated just by serving me. I will be glad to award all the results to you. Please ask for any benediction. Then Devahuti says that, so my dear husband, my dear Lord, as you promised during the time of our marriage that you will beget children through me. Now I would like you to fulfill that desire of mine. I would like to have children through you. So for any wife, having children through a great husband, the worthy quality of glorification. So for that, kindly provide necessary arrangements in the form of a suitable house, in the form of my suitable bodily features, etc., etc. So in order to fulfill the desire of Devahuti, Kardama Muni creates a aerial mansion with wonderful facilities, etc. And he requests her to enter into Bindu Sarovar. Just as soon as she enters, she sees 1000 maid servants inside the water. They take her, give her bath, decorate her with nice ornaments, garments, and oils, scented oils, etc. Give her nice food and liquids. Then she remembers her husband. Immediately she comes to the airplane along with all the maid servants. And Kardama, along with his wife and all the maid servants, they travel different places in Mount Mary, in the area of Mount Meru and other places. All over the universe they travel. Then eventually they'll come to their ashram after spending so much time traveling here and there. So there in that ashram, in order to fulfill the desires of Devahuti, in order to fulfill her desire to beget many children at once, so Kardama expands into 9 forms. Navadatmanam. So it is mentioned that Vibhajya Navadatmanam Manavim Suratostukam Ramam Niramayan Reme Varshapugan Muhurtavat. So expanding himself into 9 forms, he spent time with Devahuti. So a lot of time passed like a Muhurta, etc. So Tasmin Vimana Utkrishtam Shayam Ratikarim Shrita Na Chabudyata Tam Kalam Pratyapichena Sangata. So they have spent a lot of time being situated in the aerial mansion very close to their ashram, which is there very close to their ashram. And then Evam Yoganu Bhavena Dampatyo Ramamanaya Shatam Vyatyu Sharada. Shatam Sharada, 100 Ottomans they were spent just like a moment. So that is what they have spent time together for 100 years in that particular aerial mansion. That's what. Then after 100 years of time they have spent together in that aerial mansion. On one fine day, Tasyam Adatta Retastam Bhavayam Atma Anatmavit Noda Vidaya Rupapswam Sarva Sankalpavit Vibhu. So Kardama Muni is a great personality. He could understand the desire of each and every person as the Supreme Lord. So he understood the desire of Devahuti. Devahuti wanted to have many children. Though Kardama Muni himself is not so desired to have children, but since Devahuti had desired to have many children. So looking at the beautiful form of Devahuti, he impregnated her 9 times. So because of which she will give birth to 9 daughters. That is what is indicated in this verse. She impregnated her 9 times. So then, Atasa Sushuve Sadhyo Devahuti Shriya Praja Sarvas Tas Charu Sang Sarvangyo Lohitotpala Gandhava. So eventually, after some time, on one day, she gave birth to 9 daughters whose bodily features are like Utpala Gandhaya, their body emitting the wonderful fragrance of Utpala flower. So that's what it is indicated. So after their union, eventually she gave birth to 9 beautiful, fragrant daughters. So that is what is indicated. So I think this is where we stopped last week, and we'll continue today. So the promise was that I will be with her, that Kardama Muni made a promise to the parents of Devahuti, Swayambhuman Saturpa, that I will be with her, I will be with your daughter as a husband until she gives birth to some children. Once she gives birth to children, then immediately I will go to forest. So that was the verbal agreement between Devahuti and Kardama and Devahuti in one sense. So now children are born and they also grown up to youth. That is how it happens among the Devata community. They were born immediately, they are grown to youth immediately. So now Kardama is about to leave for the forest. That is the story now. Patim sa pravrajishyantam tada lakshoshati bahi स्मयमाना विक्लवेन हृदयेन विधूयता.
When she saw her husband about to leave home, she smiled externally, but at heart, she was agitated and distressed.
Yeah, the state of Devahuti is being described in this particular shloka. Patim sa pravarjishyantam, as the husband is getting ready to travel, go on pilgrimage from forest to forest. Tada lakshoshati bahi, he is about to leave from home. Smayamana viklavena hridayena viduyata. Though externally she is smiling at her husband because it was known to her previously. So now she cannot say that you cannot go. But within her heart, she is actually viduyata. She is feeling very painful.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, means actually the Lord has promised Kardama Muni when before जब उनका when Lord had given darshan to Kardama Muni that you will be having 9 daughters and I will appear as your son. So and that is one aspect of it which was not fulfilled yet, and another aspect is like how can a husband leave wife just like that with 9 daughters to take care? Means how we understand this?
Normally one should not leave, but this was the agreement made in the beginning only. He is not doing something rashly, but it was agreement made that as soon as she bore children, I will leave to the forest.
Because whatever Lord had told, that also had not yet happened. So before that only he wanted to leave.
Okay, that is fine. But as per the agreement between wife and husband, that is fulfilled. So he is about to leave now. So what Lord told, that Lord will make sure that he will fulfill that. He will make sure that it will happen. That's Lord's attack.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like that we can see, but don't worry. He will stay back after the discussion of Devahuti and Kardama. So here one interesting point Prabhupada raises in the purport. Kardama Muni finished his household affairs quickly by his mystic power. The building of the castle in the air, traveling all over the universe with his wife in the company of beautiful girls, and begetting of children were finished. And now, according to his promise to leave home for his real concern of spiritual realization, after impregnating his wife, he was about to go away. Seeing her husband about to leave, Devahuti was very disturbed. But to satisfy her husband, she was smiling externally. The example of Kardama Muni should be understood very clearly. A person whose main concern is Krishna consciousness, even if he is entrapped in household life, should always be ready to leave household enticement as soon as possible. So this is Prabhupada kind of drawing lines from Kardama Muni's life. How one should respond in that way. So now, with the distressed heart, what did Devahuti do? That is being narrated in the future verses. Likati ato mukhi bhuman pada nakama nishriya uvacha lalitam vacham nirudhya shru kalam shanai.
She stood and scratched the ground with her foot, which was radiant with the luster of her gem-like nails. Her head bent down, she spoke in slow yet charming accent, suppressing her tears.
So she was feeling so much disturbed. She is not able to speak to her husband. So she expressing her heart by drawing lines on the ground by her fingers, foot nails. So that is being indicated here. So it is like that. Then she spoke in slow yet charming accent, suppressing her tears. So what did Devahuti speak? That is, the rest of the chapter is all about what Devahuti speaks. 51 to 57, about 7 verses. She speaks and requests her husband to give her fearlessness. Devahuti ruvacha sarvam tad bhagavan mayam upovaha pratishrutam atapi me prapannaya abhayam datum arhasi.
Sri Devahuti said, "My Lord, you have fulfilled all the promises you gave me. Yet, because I am your surrendered soul, you should give me fearlessness too."
So this is her request, that you should give me fearlessness too. So basically she says that Devahuti ruvacha sarvam tad bhagavan mayam upovaha pratishrutam. So whatever you are doing is agreeable. It is as per the previous agreement. Ata api, though in spite of that, since I am a surrendered soul unto you, so you as the master supposed to give me fearlessness before you leave from home. So here basically, previously Kardama Muni was ready to give that fearlessness, but Devahuti only requested her husband that please beget children through me. So that is fulfilled. Now Kardama Muni is about to leave home. Now she kind of realized her mistake and kind of requesting her husband to give her fearlessness. So this is the theme of the next 7 verses. Devahuti requested her husband to grant her something without fear. As a wife, she was a fully surrendered soul to her husband, and it is the responsibility of the husband to give his wife fearlessness. So here it says that as a wife, she was a fully surrendered soul to her husband, prapannaya, and it is the responsibility of the husband to give his wife fearlessness. So in order to show the importance of this particular line, so Prabhupada quotes a verse from 5th canto. How one awards fearlessness to his subordinates is mentioned in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. One who cannot get freedom from the clutches of death is dependent, and he should not become a spiritual master, nor a husband, nor a kinsman, nor a father, nor a mother, etc. It is the duty of the superior to give fearlessness to the subordinate. To take charge of someone, therefore, either as a father or a mother or as a mother or as a spiritual master, as a relative or as a husband, one must accept the responsibility to give his ward freedom. His ward means his servant, his dependent. Freedom from the fearful situation of material existence. So this is the theme. Whenever someone accepts the responsibility position of a master, position of a caretaker, the first thing they are supposed to give is fearlessness. So this is indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, and verse number, what is the verse number? 18, wherein Lord Rishabdev teaching to his sons the important instructions. So one among the instruction is Gururna sasyat swajanona sasyat pitana sasyat jananina sasyat daivamna sasyat na patischa sasyan namo chayatya samupeta mrutyum. If one is not able to deliver the surrendered soul or the dependent in all these different relationships, so one should not accept that superior position. One should not become guru if one is not able to deliver his subordinate, his disciple from the death, from the repeated cycle of birth and death. And swajano, as one's relative, one should not become one's relative if one cannot deliver one's future generations from the cycle of birth and death. Pitana sasyat, one should not become father, one should not become mother, jananina sasyat. Daivamna sasyat, one should not become one's object of worship, one's devata also. And na patis, one should not become husband also. So one should not become husband, one should not become the object of one's worship, one should not become mother, father, friends and relatives, and one's guru, spiritual master. So all these respectable positions are all highly responsible. So if they don't fulfill their responsibility, they are held with guilt. They are held as a guilty. So that is what is indicated by here by Lord Rishabdev. While he is teaching to his sons, he actually talks about it. So it is like this. So material existence is always fearful and full of anxiety. Devahuti is saying, you have given me all sorts of material comforts by your yogic power. And since you are now prepared to go away, you must give me your last award so that I may get free from this material conditional life. So basically she's asking that, please show me a way to become fearless. Please show me a way to get rid of this material, to get rid of this fearful material existence so that I can become fearless. So that is a gentle, humble request by Devahuti. So it is like that. Brahman duhitra bistubhyam vimrugya pataya sama kaschisyan me vishokaya tvai pravrujite vanam.
My dear Brahmana, as far as your daughters are concerned, they will find their way suitable husband. They will find their own suitable husbands and go away with their respective homes. But who will give me solace after your departure as a sannyasi?
So she is telling that, okay, Kardamuni says that, no, why are you feeling that you are shelterless, you are fearful? You have 9 beautiful daughters. So you can stay along with them very happily and prosperously. Further, Devahuti said that, my dear Brahmana, your daughters, after finding suitable husbands, they will go to their in-laws' home. Afterwards, I will be left alone. Who will take care of me? Who will give me fearlessness? So please do the needful. So then Kardama asks, what exactly you want? So Devahuti says that either you give me fearlessness right now, the liberation directly right now, or you give me a son who can give me fearlessness. Either of these two, you please do one of these two. So like that, that is the request of Devahuti. It is said that the father himself become the son in another form. The father and son are therefore considered to be non-different. A widow who has her son is actually not a widow because she has the representative of her husband. So in Sanskrit it is told that the father is born as the son through the womb of his wife. So it's like that. So generally, the husband begets a son through wife. So that son is direct representative of the husband. So in the previous ages, there is a custom of sati. When the husband passes away, the wife enters into sati if there is no one to take care of her. But in case, if there are small children, if there are children, if they have any children, the wife does not enter into sati because the children are the representative of the husband. So she will stay under the care of the children or under the care of the son. So that is indicated here. That is indicated in the first canto. So do you remember where this particular thing is mentioned about that when sons are there, so the mother does not go into sati. She will stay.
Kunti
Narad-
Maharani.
Sorry?
Narad is, sorry.
Narada Muni's mother. Okay, fine. Kunti Maharani, also fine. There is a particular, okay, that is fine. And there is a conversation about that. Since she has children, she did not enter sati. So kindly, I mean, that kind of conversation takes place in the first canto.
Yeah, when Arjuna is about to kill Ashwatthama.
Yes, good, good. So Draupadi is saying that just now I could experience the pain of losing children. I have lost my 5 children who were unrighteously killed by Ashwatthama. And now you are going to kill that Ashwatthama and you are going to give the same pain to Krupi. Very recently, Krupi lost her husband. She did not enter sati because she had a son. She had a grown-up son who was not yet married, etc., etc. So please do not give the same pain which I am going through to Krupi. At the same time, do not make her shelterless because she is living only because her son is still there. Though her husband left, she did not enter sati because of that reason. So it is like that. So in the past, in the previous ages, this is the general custom being followed. So if there are no children, the wife would enter into sati along with the husband. If there are children, the wife would stay under the care of the children. Or otherwise, as a natural course of varnashram system, a brahmana, when they want to take sannyas, so taking sannyasa means is as good as the death. Death in terms of the society, this thing. The wife actually becomes the widow, but there is no entering into sati, etc. But she stays under the care of her sons at home only. So that is what is indicated. So you are taking sannyas and going to forest is as good as I am going to become widow. But under whose care I am supposed to stay? That is the request of Devahuti here. So it is like that. Similarly, Devahuti is indirectly asking Kardama Muni to leave a representative so that in his absence she might be relieved of her anxieties by a suitable son. A householder is not expected to remain at home for all his days. After getting his sons and daughters married, a householder can retire from household life, leaving his wife in the charge of the grown-up sons. That is the social convention of the Vedic system. Devahuti is indirectly asking that in his absence from home, there be at least one male child to give her relief from her anxieties. This relief means spiritual instruction. Relief does not mean material comforts. Material comforts will end with the end of the body, but spiritual instructions will not end. It will go on with the spiritual soul, the spirit soul. Instruction in spiritual advancement is necessary, but without having a worthy son, how could Devahuti advance in spiritual knowledge? It is the duty of the husband to liquidate his debt to his wife. So the duty of the husband is to deliver her from the clutches of death, to give her fearlessness. Namo chayet samupeta mrutyum. Mochayet samupeta mrutyum. Husband is supposed to deliver the wife. Basically supposed to give the knowledge necessary for one's deliverance from this mental existence. So that is what is indicated here. The wife gives some sincere service to the husband and he becomes indebted to her because one cannot accept service from his subordinate without giving him something in exchange. The spiritual master cannot accept service from a disciple without awarding him spiritual instructions meant for deliverance. That is the reciprocation of love and duty. Thus, Devahuti reminds her husband Kardama Muni that she has rendered him faithful service. Even considering the situation on the basis of liquidating his debt towards his wife, he must give a male child before he leaves. Indirectly, Devahuti requests her husband to remain at home a few days more, or at least until a male child is born. So this is the request of Devahuti unto her husband Kardama. एतावतालं कालेन व्यतिक्रांतेन मे प्रभु इंद्रियार्था प्रसंगेन परित्यक्ता paratmana.
Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord.
So Kardama Muni says that I was ready to give you fearlessness long back, but you did not ask at the time. So now she says that I am sorry for that. Until now, I have taken your association for begetting children only. I kind of lost track of the importance of human life. So kindly forgive me for my mistake, but at least now, kindly bestow your causeless mercy upon me. Like that she is asking. Human life is not meant to be wasted like that of the animals in sense gratificatory activities. Animals always engage in sense gratification, eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. But that is not the engagement of the human being. Although because of the material body, there is a need of sense gratification according to a regulative principle. So if you remember, there is one shloka being told to all of us when we freshly came into Krishna consciousness. There is one shloka from Mahabharata. That shloka is being quoted by all our ISKCON preachers whenever they speak to a newcomer about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Can anyone remember the shloka?
Is it Ahar Nidra Bhai Maithunam cha?
Yes. Complete shloka.
Samanya etat pashubi naranam dharmon hitecha adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubi samana.
Yeah, that shloka is Prabhupada actually quoting here. So though humans and animals are all engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, defending, but human life is something more than that. So in that way. So in effect, Devahuti said to her husband, so far we have these daughters and we have enjoyed material life in the aerial mansion, traveling all over the universe. These boons have come by your grace, but they have all been for sense gratification. Now, there must be something for my spiritual advancement. So now she realized that you are ready to give me these boons long back, but now I am requesting you to fulfill those boons. So in that way, she is actually expressing her eagerness or her readiness to accept those spiritual boons from her husband. That is the indication. Indriyarteshu sadyantya prasangastvai me krita ajanantya param bhavam tatapi astu abhayaya me.
Not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear.
So now she states one important aspect: association with saintly people, how it acts like contagious. That the particular thing is being shared in the next few verses. Indriyarteshu sajjante prasangastvai me krita. So all these days, when you are ready to award me all kinds of benedictions, I have accepted you as an object of enjoyment. So I have accepted boons from you only for the fulfillment of my senses. Ajanantya Parambhavam. Not able to understand your greatness, not able to recognize what you can award me. I have only asked the boons from you in relation to begetting children only. Tatapi, in spite of that, Abhayayame. But since I have been in association with you, who are a great person, can be able to give fearlessness to others, people in general, you can deliver everyone in this world. So you should be able to deliver me also. Because since I have been situated myself in your association for so long, though I was engaged in sense gratification along with you, but since you are a great soul, your association should not go in vain. What was the verse from first canto, 18th chapter? How the association of a great soul lacks, even for a moment.
Tulyanam lavenapi na swargam punarbhava.
Full verse.
Tulyanam lavenapi na swargam na punarbhavam. Bhagavad Sangi Sangasya Mrityunam Kim Utashita.
Meaning?
Even moments of association with a devotee is equivalent to, means there's nothing more great than an association with the devotee for a moment. It is better than the Swargam, Swarga. It is much more better than the association is better than, it's equivalent to the Swarga or what else kind?
Yeah. Tulayama lavenapi na swargam na punarbhavam. Bhagavad Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kim Utashija. Being situated in the association of the devotees, even for a time of lava. Lava is a fraction of a second. That is more than achieving Swarga or Punarbhavam, getting birth in aristocratic family, etc. etc. So it is like that. That is more than any of the material opulences. So that's why in the later cantos of Bhagavatam also it is glorified as the association of the devotees is very, very, very rare and very, very, very important. Wherein I think in 11th canto, it is mentioned that Durlabo Manusho Gehe Dehi Nam Shana Banguram. Though attainment of the human body, which stays only for small time, Shana Banguram, the human body stays with Jiva only for small time, maybe 100 years at max, but it is very rare to attain that. Durlabo Manusho Gehe, getting human body is very rare. Tatrabi Durlaba Manne, much rarer than that is Vaikunta Priya Darshana. Getting the darshan of Vaikunta Priya. Those living entities who are very dear to Lord Vaikunta, that is basically Lord Vaikunta's pure devotees. Getting the darshan of the pure devotees is very rare. Then what to speak of their association, getting to hear from them. So it is like that. That's why it is always glorified. The association of devotees is very rare and very auspicious. That's what here Devahuti is also telling that. Even knowingly or unknowingly associating with pure devotees should be beneficial to that conditioned soul. So, I have been in your association, but using your association only for mental sense gratification. But that also unknowingly because of my ignorance about your greatness. But you are so great that whoever comes in your association should be able to get fearlessness. That is the quality of great souls. So kindly, remember that I am entitled for fearlessness because I was in your association for so long. So she kind of reminding her husband that I am entitled to get fearlessness since I was in your association for so long. So like that. Is there any verse like that? Glorifying the association of devotees? Hare Krishna.
Tirthi Kuru, no, not that.
Sadhu Sang, sir. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yes, complete verse.
I'm not sure, but I try. Sadhu Sang Sarva Siddhi Hoy, something like that. Lava Matra Sadhu. I don't know. I forgot. Prabhuji.
साधु
Someone
संग
else?
साधु संग सर्वशास्त्रे कय लव मात्र साधु संगे सर्व सिद्धि है.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Any other verse? Okay, no problem. Devahuti is lamenting her position. As a woman, she had to love someone. Somehow or other, she came to love Kardama Muni, but without knowing of his spiritual advancement. Kardama Muni could understand Devahuti's heart. Generally, all women desire material enjoyment. They are called less intelligent because they are mostly prone to material enjoyment. Devahuti laments because her husband had given her the best kind of material enjoyment, but she did not know that he was so advanced in spiritual realization. Her plea was that even though she did not know the glories of her great husband, because she had taken shelter of him, she must be delivered from the material entanglement. Since she was in the association of great husband, so she is supposed to be delivered. That is what is the general rule. Association with a great personality is most important. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya says that Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Hoy. Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So sadhus are supposed to be endowed with the knowledge of all the Shastras. Whoever comes in their association, they will also get the understanding of Shastras that will deliver them from this material existence. That is indicated here. Sarvasiddhi means attaining the complete perfection of one's material existence. That is going back home, back to Godhead. Thus, the association of great saintly person is very important, because even if one is not advanced in knowledge, simply by association with a great saintly person, one can immediately make considerable advancement in spiritual life. Is there any example to quote that somebody knowingly or unknowingly situated oneself in the association of a great sadhu? So that sadhu is delivered in.
Narada.
Okay, Narada Muni. Then, any other example?
You mean unknowingly only, Prabhuji?
Yeah, of course, there Narada Muni initially don't know, but eventually came to know. Narada Muni can be an example of unknowingly. So there is another example of knowing also. This what is his name? I don't just recall his name, but I forgot. So this person was Gokarna. Gokarna also heard Bhagavatam from his brother for many days. Gokarna's brother heard Bhagavatam from Gokarna for many days. Then eventually he was liberated. The story is being told in relation to glorifying of Bhagavat Mahatmya.
Dundubi.
Yeah, Dundubi was delivered by hearing Bhagavatam from Gokarna. So it is like that. As a woman, as an ordinary wife, Devahuti became attached to Kardama Muni in order to satisfy her sense enjoyment and other material necessities. But actually, she associated with a great personality. Now she understood this, and she wanted to utilize the advantage of the association of her great husband. So that is what is indicated. Now, in the next few verses, she actually glorifies how the association of a great soul acts, knowingly or unknowingly, in a miraculously. Sangoya samshruterhetu asastu vito diya saeva sadhushu kruto nisangatvaya kalpate. Hare Krishna. Someone else can read.
Association for sense gratification is the condition. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage, but the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if
Yeah.
performed without knowledge.
Sango hi samshruter hetu asastu vihito diya. Basically, say that sango asastu. When somebody associates with materialistic people, asastu means sat means devotee, asat means non-devotee, materialistic person. When somebody associates with materialistic person, vihito adidya, even without proper knowledge, without any intention, just by associating with materialistic people, one's samsara will be continued. Sansruter hetu. One's samsara will continue in this material world. Just by associating with materialistic people, one samsara will continue in this material world. Similarly, sa eva, in a similar way, if one associates with sadhu, sadhu shu kruto, by associating with sadhu, nisangatvaya kalpate, there should be liberation for that associate. Just by associating with a materialistic person without knowledge, one is bound in this materialistic lifestyle. One is bound in the samsara. Similarly, by associating with a spiritualist, one's liberation is guaranteed. That is what is indicated here.
Prabhuji, here it is mentioned the same type of association performed with the saintly person. So does it mean that association with the saintly person with the intention of sense gratification also, if somebody does, still it will purify the person?
No, same purpose means not for sense gratification. Adiya, without understanding what it can do, without proper knowledge what it can do. We know that, okay, we need to hear from great souls. So we go and hear. That is out of knowledge. But in spite of having no knowledge, if somebody goes and hears from great souls and serves them and associates them, there will be a result without our knowledge. That is what is indicated here. Not with the sense gratificatory mentality.
I thought because I thought ki Devavati first asked for the sense gratification from Kardamuni. That is why it has been mentioned like that same type of association.
No, not like that.
Okay, thanks.
So it is like that. The association of a saintly person in any way bears the same result. So Prabhupada quotes the example of Lord Krishna. So though different people associate with Lord Krishna under so many circumstances, but all of them got liberation. The gopis of Vrindavan, the residents of Raja and the Madhuravasi, Dwarkavasis, even the enemies, those people who treated Lord Krishna as their enemy, like Shishupal, Dantavakra, Paundraka and Kamsa, all those people also got liberation. So that is the nature of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the nature of the great soul is whether somebody comes with knowledge or without knowledge in their association, they will be benefited. That is what is indicated here. Devahuti expressed her gratefulness for, although she wanted to associate with Kardama Muni only for sense gratification, because he was spiritually great, she was sure to be liberated by his benediction. Thus, the association with a great saintly person also results in liberation. Just as whether one goes towards fire knowingly or unknowingly, the fire will make one warm. So that is the understanding. So now she further continues. So what should be the purpose of life? How the life should be perfected. Nehayat karma dharmaya na vairagyaya kalpate na tirthapada sevayai jivan api mruto hisa.
Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead.
Jivan api mrutoisa. Even though they are jiving, they should be considered as dead, living dead. Who? Na iha yat karma dharmaya. Iha means in this material world. In this material world, if our performance of karma, our performance of daily duties, daily prescribed duties, if they are not leading to the performance of dharma, if they are not leading to the performance of expected dharma from us, and that performance of dharma, if that is not leading to the attainment of vairagya, detachment, and if that vairagya is not leading to the attainment of the service of Tirtha Pada Sevayai, service to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that kind of person, though living, should be considered as dead. So this is what is indicated here. So whatever activities, knowingly or unknowingly, whatever we are doing, should be performed in such a way that our dharma is accomplished. Our dharma as a person in any particular varna, in a particular ashrama, that is accomplished. And that performance of our varnashrama duties should bring in detachment within our heart. And that detachment should bring us to the possibility of going back home back to Godhead and able to serve the Supreme Lord, being situated at his lotus feet. Na Tirthapada Sevayai. It is not only here serving the Supreme Lord, even having gotten the liberation, having gone to spiritual world, one should be able to serve the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. That is the ultimate perfection or complete perfection of one's life. Otherwise, though one is living, one is dead. Like that, she indicates. Jivan api mrutoisa. Devahuti's statement is that since she was attached to living with her husband for sense gratification, which does not lead to liberation from material entanglement, her life was simply a waste of time. Is there any verse in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam talking about the waste of time?
Ayurvai Pumsa.
First canto.
First canto. Nidra, no, that is.
First canto, second chapter. A waste of time. Shrimayevayi kevalam, useless endeavor. Hare Krishna, anyone? Second chapter only. First canto. Dharma swanushtita pumsha vishwaksena katasuya na utpadaya didiratim shrimayevahi kevalam. If the people, they perform their varnashrama duties, if the performance of those duties does not bring them to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord, na utpadaya didiratim, if that does not bring attachment to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, all those endeavors are simply a waste of time or wasted labor. Shramayavai kevalam, useless labor only. So that is what is indicated. So basically, all our performance of activity should lead to the accomplishment of our varnashrama dharma. That should lead to renunciation. That should lead to going back home back to Godhead and able to serve the Supreme Lord in person. So that is the complete perfection of human life. So what was the next verse? 1 to 9. That talks about how one's dharma should be accomplished, how one's performance of dharmic activity should be fulfilling and accomplishing the expected results. 1 to 9.
One to 9 means you are telling chapter numbers, Prabhuji.
I am telling verse number. First canto, second chapter, verse number 9. The verse next to the previous verse. Dharma Swanishta Pumsha, after that verse.
Dharmasya yapovargasya na arthayo upakalpate. I have it before me right now, so I am saying it.
No problem. Tell the meaning.
Na arthasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya hi smrita. All
What is the
religious
meaning?
purposes, all religious activities should be done for attaining liberation. They should not be done for enjoying in the material world.
Okay. So that these two verses are like interrelated. So if the activities, performance of one's activities are not leading to Rati and to Supreme Lord, they are simply waste of time. So therefore, how to perform the activities? Dharmasya yapavargasya. All our varnas duties should be performed, keeping in mind that I need to get liberation, going back home back to God, I need to serve, and I will be able to serve the Lord in person. Na artho arthayo upakalpate. One should not perform all one's activities not to get wealth and not use that wealth for sense gratification. That should be the constant thought in one's mind. So, in that way, any work one performs that does not lead to the state of religious life is useless activity. Everyone is by nature inclined to some sort of work. And when that work leads one to religious life, and religious life leads one to renunciation, and renunciation leads to devotional service, one attains the perfection of work. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, any work that does not lead ultimately to the standard of devotional service is a cause of bondage in the material world. Yajnartat karmano annyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. So what is the next line of this verse? Hare Krishna. What is the next line of this verse?
Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara.
Meaning?
Perform your duties for his satisfaction. This way you will be freed from the reactions of what?
Whose satisfaction?
The Supreme Lord's satisfaction.
Okay. Unless one is gradually elevated to the position of devotional service, beginning from his natural activity, he is to be considered a dead body. Work which does not lead one to the understanding of Krishna consciousness is considered useless. So even though Lord Krishna creates this varnashram system, that is only for the purpose of uplifting living entities and bringing them close to his lotus feet. So there is another verse also talking about how to perform all the varnashram duties in the same chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam. Can anyone remember that verse?
Is it Samsiddhir Haritoshnam?
Ah, yes. If you remember, you can quote complete verse.
Atha Pumbe Dujasista Varnashrama Vibhakashaya Swanustitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshnam.
So what is the meaning of that?
In just whatsoever our Varnashram Dharma, our duties, the objective of that duties is only to please the Lord, please the Supreme Personality of God.
Yeah. Swa anushtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshnam. So people are divided into 4 different kinds of varnas and ashramas, and they are expected to perform the activities according to their psychophysical nature, and the activities are supposed to be performed for the purpose of the pleasure of Lord Hari or as a service to Lord Hari. Haritoshnam. Samsiddhir haritoshnam. When all the activities are performed as haritoshana, then the people will have the perfection of their life. Otherwise, those activities will bind one. Yajnartat karmano. Karma should be performed for as a service to yajna. Anyatra, otherwise, loko I am in this material world, that karma will bind a living entity. Karma bandhana. So this is what is indicated here. If our varnashram
Can I
duties
ask you something?
yes.
Sorry. Actually, I was just I wanted to ask you since long that since we are in this Grahastha ashram, we tend to attend certain, programs, certain social gatherings. Now, when we go there, we have this objective in our mind that, somehow we'll say a word or two regarding Krishna consciousness life or something. But once you're into it, like you're so absorbed and involved in that particular thing, that even if you try to preach in a smaller way, it just goes in vain. I mean, nobody takes it seriously. So such association or such gathering leads to what? I mean, it is definitely not, as you said, it is that it's not devotional service as such. So it's like a lot of time being given to that thing, and still the fruit is zero there. I mean, or maybe negative. So what do you do at such stage?
No,
Completely
are you
avoid
going to social gatherings as a duty of household order? Or are you going there for preaching?
household order first, but when you go there, you go with this thing, na, that see, I have to do this, but at least I will, try to talk to some people about this or something like that. But actually, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, relatives will never listen to us. First, we should remember that.
Hmm.
Even though we may think that we can preach and we can inspire them and all, so generally they don't listen. Maybe some people might listen, but majority won't listen. Even though they may listen, that is only for few sentences they will listen. Afterwards, they say, okay, bahut bolte hai karke bolte.
Yeah.
So generally, it is better we should not directly speak to our relatives, direct Krishna conscious activities. So if possible, if there is an opportunity, we can connect them to some other devotees, because people get to listen from strangers with respect. For known people, they will, okay, by the way, like that they hear. So that is one thing. So, but attending social gatherings is a kind of is a duty. So you can attend gathering and come back. So even though
Yeah, but
you don't have to worry about that I'm preaching and they are not taking seriously, it's okay, fine. But you can continue preaching, continue talking about Krishna consciousness, so that you will not get contaminated by their talks. That's fine.
That happens, Prabhuji, because what happens when you are into such crowd, the normal subjects, as that verse says, now that they talk all about politics and things like that, vaccine. So basically I'm talking about myself, that even at times I feel my consciousness is getting contaminated, because all what we are spending almost 4-5 hours and doing all these talks only, nothing else. So at this time, after coming back, you feel that, oh, so much of time being wasted, so it's kind
not
of
like
guilt
that.
is also.
So better to have some cordial, respectable discussions. That is okay, good actually. I mean, it is not that we have to outrightly reject all our social community, etc. So we can keep a healthy relationship with them. We cannot outrightly reject them, saying that you people are always talking material subject matter, etc. So they will treat us like fanatics. That is not a good thing in long run. So keep some healthy relationships with them. No need to talk so much material subjects. Even if they talk, so just whatever we are aware, little bit we can talk. If it is getting too much into the subject matter, we can excuse ourselves and go to some other place. So something like that can be done.
Okay,
I don't know. This is what is being told to us in our ashram.
Okay.
I'm just repeating.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
It's okay, but don't worry so much. Better to have some healthy relationship with the other relatives and all. No need to get into too much. These people are all in Maya and I don't want to talk to them. They are all talking about subjects. Because they don't know about Krishna, they cannot talk too much. Even if they know also, when two relatives meet, they don't speak so much about Krishna so much. So unlike when we come to temple, we discuss with the devotees only about Krishna consciousness. But that is not so. Even sometimes we need to discuss other things also, general things. Not so much, but as much as required. That is okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So here basically she is inspiring Kardama. She's telling that the life can be attained perfection if one does perfect activities like this. So she says that though I am talking about Jivan Api Mrutoisa, I am one such a person. I have served you for so many years, hoping that I am a wife and perform all my household duties, but that does not lead to vairagya, and that does not give me opportunity to serve the Lord's lotus feet. So I made that mistake. So I am one example of Tachkanda people. So that's what she concludes in the last verse. Saham bhagavato nunam vanchita maya dridam yatvam vimuktidam prapya namumukshasya bandava.
My Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusionary energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For, in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation.
So basically, she said that Saham, I am such a person who is living dead. Bhagavato nonam vanchita maya dudam. Have been illusioned by Bhagavato Maya, Lord's material energy. Have been cheated by Lord's material energy. Because of that, Yatvam Vimuktidam Prapya, though you are there in my as my master who can give me Vimukti, complete liberation. Na Mumuksheha Bandhanat. But I did not ask you liberation from you. Instead, I asked you something by which I have been bound in this material world. Like that, now she is actually submitting her own condition. Though you can award me fearlessness, but I did not ask you for that. So please forgive me for that. Like that, she is telling. An intelligent man should utilize good opportunities. The first opportunity is the human form of life. And the second opportunity is to take birth in the suitable family where there is cultivation of spiritual knowledge that is rarely obtained. An intelligent man should utilize good opportunities. First opportunity is to take human form of life. And the second opportunity is to take birth in the suitable family where there is cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is rarely obtained. There is a verse from Prahlad Maharaj. Recently, we had this Narsingh Chaturthi. And in every Narsingh Chaturthi, the Prahlad Katha, Narsingh Dev Katha is very famous. Devotees get to speak, get to hear and all. So there, the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, there is one verse always quoted. What was that verse? That is about the importance of human life. Hare Krishna, anyone? Prahlad Maharaj speaks to his classmates about the importance of human life, how to utilize the human life. All of you are there or gone for a break?
We are there, Prabhuji, but
We don't know the words.
No, this is famous verse. I think Narsingh Chaturdashi, at least you must have heard somewhere in some class. Kaumaram acharet prajño dharman bhagavata hiya durlabam mancho janma tadapi adurpam artadam. Not heard before this verse?
heard Prabhuji, but we were not remembering at the right
No
time.
problem, no problem.
Yeah.
So Kaumaram acharet prajño dharman bhagavatam iha. So having taken birth in this material world as a human being, one should be able to practice Bhagavad Dharma, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, etc., etc., from the age of Kaumara. Kaumara is basically 0 to 5. So one should start bhakti from the age within 5 years only. 0 to 5, one should start anytime and continue to perform bhakti all throughout one's life. This is what Prahlad Maharaj says. So this is possible if the children were born in a devotee family. The parents engage the children even while they were in the womb only. Since then, their bhakti starts. So that is a great advantage of taking birth in the family of devotees. The greatest opportunity is to have the association of saintly persons. Devotee was conscious that she was born as the daughter of an emperor. She was born as the daughter of Emperor Swayambhu Manu, was also a great devotee. She was sufficiently educated and cultured, and at last She got Kardama Muni, a saintly person and a great yogi, as her husband. Her husband also a great devotee. Still, if she did not get liberation from the entanglement of material energy, then certainly she would be cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy. Her father is a devotee, her husband is a devotee, still she is not able to perfect her life. That means she was cheated by Maya. Actually, the illusory material energy is cheating everyone. People do not know what they are doing when they worship the material energy in the form of goddess Kali or Durga for material boons. They ask Mother Durga saying that, Mother, give me great riches, give me a good wife, give me fame, give me victory. But such devotee of the goddess Maya or Durga do not know that they are being cheated by the goddess. Material achievement is actually no achievement, because as soon as one is illusioned by material gifts, he becomes more and more entangled, and there is no question of liberation. One should be intelligent enough to know how to utilize material assets for the purpose of spiritual realization. This is called Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. What is Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga? One should be intelligent enough to know how to utilize material assets for the purpose of spiritual realization. Whatever we have, we should use as service to the Supreme Person. It is advised in Bhagavad Gita, Swakarmana tamabhyarcha. By performance of one's varnashram duties, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is 1846. After stating the duties of 4 varnas, then Lord Krishna speaks this verse. By engaging in one's varnashram duties, one should be worshipping the Supreme Lord. One should try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's assets. There are many forms of service to the Supreme Lord, and anyone can render service unto the Supreme Lord according to best of one's ability. So these are the different points stated by Devahuti in order to inspire Kardama that he should be able to give her fearlessness. Fearlessness in the form of liberation or fearlessness in the form of a son. One of these two should be given. So that is the whole idea of this particular section of this chapter. You are able to follow? Any questions? Hare Krishna, no questions?
Vijay, I have two doubts from the past class.
Oh, okay. That previous section you can ask after the break. If any question related to our talk till now, you can ask.